I have 53 meat birds and some of them are ready to go out on pasture today. It's such a weird number because I ordered 50 of them and only 3 made it through shipping. I called the company, told them what happened, and they sent a new batch of 50 and all of those chicks made it. So I have 3 chicks that are a week older than every other bird, and those are ready to go out onto pasture today. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be setting up our Premier 1 fencing, getting our pasture set up, and I'm gonna be moving them out of the brooder. It's extremely sad that all the birds in the first shipment died except for 3, but if there's any silver lining, it's that I have 3 birds now that are a week older than the rest, so I kind of get to trial run everything I set up on them, and if I make any mistakes, it's a lot less costly with the 3 birds than if I put all 50 out. I'm kind of pasturing my birds a little bit differently than I've seen most people. I'm going to be putting them in my food forest behind me. There's a few different reasons for why I'm doing this. One is it's going to be a double fence for them because there's a welded wire fence around our whole food forest and there's going to be an electric fence protecting them. Another reason is we think that these birds are going to go through, kind of dig up some of the grass and fertilize the soil. We spread a lot of manure on our trees and fruit bushes, and we were thinking while we have these chickens, we might as well put them to work for us and let them drop the manure on these trees themselves. That's not only the manure building the soil, we're hoping that they kind of mow the grass a little bit for us and eat any bugs that they find. We'll see how this all goes. We think that it'll be fine and they'll work out for us, but there is a chance that they just dig up a lot of these trees that we just planted and these small bushes that are going to be in their fenced area. So we'll see. For their shelter inside their fenced off area, we have our take on Justin Rhodes meat shaw. We built this when we placed the order. We only had 2 days before they were shipped and we had no infrastructure ready, but we were able to get their brooder built and this meat shaw done. It's a little bit different than most because there's no wheels on it. It's just on some logs, and so I can just pull that anywhere I need to go pretty easily. It's not the most mobile thing, obviously, compared to something with wheels, but I can still move it pretty easily and it's extremely sturdy. But I'm gonna get to setting up this fence. Change of plans. I'm actually going to be moving this fenced area to my blueberry patch. We were going to put them in the orchard initially, but we already have a lot of our laying hens that run through here pretty much every day. They always seem to be digging up grass, eating bugs, and I don't want to scare them off of this area because we're going to be using them long term in our orchard, and I don't want to scare them off with this electric fence if they, shock themselves or have run-ins with the meat birds that are in here. We're going to move it to our blueberry patch because we want to use these birds to solve problems while we have them, and the biggest problem I have is mowing our blueberry patch. It's pretty far away, so it's harder to get over there to mow it, and it's really like dense, tall grass, and it grows back really fast. It was a clearing. It's been a clearing for over a century since my great-grandfather built his homestead over there. It's been a pain to mow this whole time, and I really want to use these chickens, these 53 birds, while I have them, to fence off an area, have them dig up the grass, add manure to any bushes that are in there because it's their first year, so I'm not worried about them taking any berries off of the plants. So I want to use them. I kind of want to move them through the berry patch, and when I move them off an area, hopefully they dig up the grass enough to where I can spread a bunch of wood chips in there, and just keep doing that until hopefully a good chunk, if not all, of the patch is full of wood chips. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is them potentially digging up some blueberry plants because it's their first year. They're not very big. I don't know, maybe they eat the leaves off of them or dig up the roots or something. We have an electric fence, so the predators might be worse over there, but it's just they have an electric fence and it's going to be inside of a welded wire fence just like our orchard is here, so it shouldn't be that big of a risk for predators. The only thing that's really going to be a pain with that is I'm going to have to drive water over to them and food over to them every day instead of just walking out in my backyard and doing it right here every morning. That's not too bad. We're only going to have these things for a few months. I'm going to get to taking this down and putting it on top of my meat shaw here and drag that over. So I know I've said a couple times before that it's pretty easy to move, but I'm going to really be putting that to the test. Okay, I got their coop over. It took a little bit. It was a pretty long walk because it was mostly uphill. It wasn't too bad. It's definitely something you can do if you need to, but you're obviously not going to need it to be moving it that much too often. So I'm happy with the logs on this thing overall, so far at least. But I have it in the place, or I have it in our berry patch here. It looks like this grass grew up to the point where I'm gonna have to mow it before I put this fence out. So I'm gonna go get the mower, get their water, get their food dish, and get everything brought over here and get everything set up. Well, I was planning on getting the 3 chicks that are old enough to go outside out to their pasture tonight, but looks like that's not going to happen. Today just kind of got away from me with moving everything from our original area in our orchard to our blueberry patch, and my friend texted me that she had some produce from our local grocery store that expired, so I had to go over and pick up all that. So I'm gonna go put that all in my compost and get the chickens put away for the night. But yeah, the idea is to pasture my 53 meat birds in my blueberry patch. I don't know, am I crazy or not? I think it's a good idea. I think they're gonna work on that grass a little bit, eat some bugs out of there, add some manure to the soil and to the plants, and I think it's going to be a good use of the 3 months I have with them before they're butchered. But let me know what you think. If you think it's a terrible idea, like, I'm kind of nervous that they're gonna, like, they might mess up the bushes a little bit. You know, it's their first year in the ground, so they're pretty tiny. So I don't know if they're gonna like peck all the leaves off, dig them up in the roots, something like that. But I think this is gonna be the plan moving forward, so stick around and see what happens.